What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one we're going to continue to talk about the moves that the Patriots are making here right before, and I mean right before, the start of free agency, bringing back some of their players. We already discussed them bringing back Devin McCourt if you guys want to check out that video, but in this one we're going to be talking about how the team has placed a second-round tender on restricted free agent Jacoby Myers. What does this mean? Is he back with the Patriots officially, or is he not back with the Patriots officially? What is the second round tender, guys? We're going to be talking about all that in this video, so make sure you guys leave a like on this. Stay tuned for the entirety of this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already for all of your New England Patriots news. But the second round tender, this is something that we all expected the Patriots were going to place on Jacoby Myers. Now, there is different type of tenders that you can place on a player. Basically, that just comes down to different round tenders that you can place on a player. The best way that I can kind of put this into comparison is a tender is essentially the franchise tag, just at a one, much lower cost, and two, it's at different draft capital than a first round pick. Now, just like that franchise tag, the Patriots are placing this on, in this case, Jacoby Myers. But if a team still wants Jacoby Myers, they can go out and still acquire him, but they cannot sign him as if he is a free agent. If they go ahead, they give an offer to Jacoby Myers. One, the Patriots can match that offer to try to bring Jacoby Myers back. But two, if they decide, okay, we're okay with Jacoby Myers walking, the team that picks up Jacoby Myers is essentially trading for him, and New England would get a second round pick back in return for Jacoby Myers. Now, also, just like the franchise tag, this is not an extension. Essentially, what this tender is going to be, again, just like the franchise tag, is a one-year contract. Now, because this is a second-round tender rather than a first-round franchise tag, again, that number's not large at all. I think the Patriots are getting an absolute bargain here with Jacoby Myers. Now, we'll talk about Jacoby Myers, what he brings to this offense, and if he even deserves a contract extension, but for the 1 year that he'll be on this team, at least for this 2022 cap number, he'll only be making about $3.9 million, which again, for what Jacoby Myers has brought to this team the last several seasons, is an absolute spectacular number for this Patriots team. Now, something else I do want to add is, if Jacoby Myers does play under that tender for the 2022 season, which I will go off and say I highly expect him to, I do not see a team going out and giving the Patriots a second round pick in return for Jacoby Myers. We've seen crazier things happen, and it could happen, but 9 out of 10 times when teams place tenders on players, they place franchise tags on players, other teams do not go ahead and essentially try to acquire that player. So with that being said, I highly expect Jacoby Myers to play for this team in 2022 under that one-year tender for $3.9 million, but because he's a UDFA, instead of being an unrestricted free agent, he's a restricted free agent, which gave the Patriots that ability to place that tender on him. Now, again, if he does play for the Patriots under a one-year contract without a contract extension at the end of the 2022 season, he will be an unrestricted free agent. Now, this goes even further to say, okay, should the Patriots give Jacoby Myers an extension over just the 2022 season? And that really depends. Look, I love Jacoby Myers. What he's done for this team, again, over the last several seasons has been more than impressive. Coming in as a UDFA, a quarterback changed to wide receiver. Led this team in receiving yards this past season. Has essentially become the Patriots' #1 wide receiver for the last couple of seasons also, and has been pretty consistent. For the most part, Jacoby Myers is a very, very reliable target. This past season, he had a couple of stupid drops from time to time, but for the most part, a very reliable target who is very good as a technician, very good as a route runner, does do a little too much at times to try to get open, which sometimes slows his ability down to get open. That's one thing he does have to work on. But the big issue with Jacoby Myers is yak yards. Yards after catch. He absolutely doesn't have the ability to do that. And you look at this Patriots team that really likes to operate within the short to intermediate route. They need guys who are going to get the ball in their hands and pick up yards after the catch. I mean, they need a guy who is going to get a 5-8 yard catch on a slant and turn that into 15 plus yards. Again, Jacoby Myers, reliable, good route runner, has even shown the ability time after time as a 50-50 ball catcher. But you know that if you are getting Jacoby Myers the ball and you're not giving it to him in space with an open field where he can just run, then he's essentially going to catch the ball and get down. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you have other guys within your personnel that have the ability to get the ball in their hands and do something afterwards. But unfortunately for the Patriots, they don't really have that. You look at Jacoby Myers, he's one of your starting pieces. And then you look at a guy like Hunter Henry, who is another one of your starting pieces, especially at the tight end position. And he serves really that same role as Jacoby Myers. He's a guy gonna go up, get contested catches. He's a pretty good route runner, a reliable big target. But Hunter Henry is also one of those guys that isn't really going to do anything after catching the ball. He doesn't really give you yak yards. The guys that are going to give you yak yards would be guys like Kendrick Bourne and Jonnu Smith, who unfortunately has not panned out for the Patriots, at least as of yet. So if the Patriots had multiple guys who had the ability to do something after they catch the ball, I wouldn't say that Jacoby Myers not having that ability is a big deal. But because, unfortunately, New England really only has about one, maybe two of those guys, it does create a big need for this offense. Now, a contract extension for me definitely depends. One, how can Jacoby Myers perform this upcoming season? But two, what are the Patriots going to do? What are they going to do in free agency? Are they going to make any potential splash trades? And what are they going to do in the draft? We've been hearing them really trying to upgrade at wide receiver. And could they potentially get a guy in the building that is truly going to give you an extra guy with yak yards like a guy like Kendrick Bourne is going to? You look at the Patriots' current depth chart of wide receivers. You have Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, N'Keal Harry. And then you have guys signed to future contracts like Christian Wilkerson, Malcolm Perry, and Trey Nixon. And to me, whether Jacoby Myers is your number 2 or even your number 3 guy, I think that is still an excellent move and someone that I would still love to get locked up. But the question mark is going to be if he becomes that number 2 to number 3 guy. For instance, let's say the Patriots go out and they get someone like Allen Robinson, who easily becomes your number 1 guy. Kendrick Bourne could easily slip into that number 2 role, at least fight for it, which could put Jacoby Myers in that number 3 role. Obviously, the Patriots aren't going to go out and give him this big lucrative contract. Could Jacoby Myers and Bill Belichick meet on the same page numbers-wise to get him signed to an extension? I think that is going to be really evident on if Jacoby Myers ends up getting an extension or not. Jacoby has gotten better and better each and every single season. He appeared in 15 games his rookie season, put up 359 yards, averaging 13.8 yards per reception. In 2020, he played in 14 games. He was able to rack up 729 yards, averaging 12.4 yards per reception, and this past season was able to put up 866 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging 10.4 yards per reception. Only time will tell if Jacoby Myers does end up getting an extension, but for now, it is definitely looking like Jacoby Myers will be back for at least the 2022 season as the Patriots place that second round tender on him. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, love you guys. I appreciate you guys for the support, and go Pats.